This is Arlo Johnson speaking to you from Vernon, British Columbia, May the 12th, 2023. This is a redo. I just did the whole thing here a while ago, and when I loaded it, I realized there was no sound. I've got to do it again. Oh well, it'll be different. Maybe it'll be better this time. I won't be able to remember everything I said, that's for sure. I think I started out by saying that there appears to be some changes going on in this world, that's for sure. I noticed, maybe May the 5th, 6th or something, there was flooding just south of us here, and it actually flooded right through this whole community, took the roads out, the infrastructure out and everything else, and just about took the road out. And then finally it dropped down enough so I imagine it's still running, but it's not taking the road out. Then over in Drayton Valley, Alberta, in a town which I lived in for 21 years, I moved from there in 1972. Just a moment. And I'd lived there for 21 years. And during that time, that whole 21 years, there was just as much bush around there, more than there is now. And I never heard of a dangerous forest fire. I think I might have heard of something in the spring someplace, a little bit, but now 21 years later, they're evacuating the whole town of 7,000 and moving into Edmonton, Alberta. And other fires going on in Alberta. I think they're up to 25 to 30,000 evacuees in Edmonton due to fire, forest fire. That's different, eh? I mean, that's quite a while ago, 45, 50 years ago. I lived there, but so I guess in the last 50 years things have changed. You know, May the 8th or 5th or something is pretty early to have forest fires going and flooding. But we are in going to be in about the 30-degree Celsius mark this weekend, which is like getting close to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, 85, 90. That's going to bring the snow melt down from the mountains, and you know, it's still May, middle of May, and I wouldn't doubt that's going to spike it up, and I'll bet you by Sunday, Monday, Tuesday or something, you're going to hear more flooding. So, you know, this idea of global warming, I have, you know, not being taken in by that really the way they carry on about it. But I do know there's climate change. And climate just changes. Now, if you separate out what they're talking about when they say global warming and climate change and what the Bible says about it, it's two different things. Same conclusion, though, comes to the same thing. And, you know, what you hear now is that we've got to do this, we've got to do that, we got to cut back. You know, cows are a problem because they release methane. They fart, in other words. Gas stoves are terrible because they could cause, you know, global warming. And we're going to cut out all gasoline engines and everything else because that produces CO2. You know what I predict will happen? I don't know if I'll live to see it, but I'll bet you they'll be building plants, big plants to produce CO2 when they realize what they've done. But the CO2 we have on the planet right now is low, very low. It could be like 3, 4 times as much, and just be nicely green. In fact, the more it is, if it got up to around 1200, it would really be green and grow. Things would really grow. People who have greenhouses buy CO2 and pump it in. So I believe they're on the wrong track totally, and it's just amazing to me. They claim that that's causing global warming, retaining the heat in or something. No, I don't believe that. I actually don't believe that human beings can do things enough to change the weather pattern of the planet. I don't think so. I think the natural weather patterns and whatever are too big and too complex and everything for that. But if you are nations of people who are secular, who believe God has nothing to do with anything, don't believe in God, and let's face it, there's more now than ever that don't believe in God. There's a lot less that do. They've died out, a lot of them. And when they say we're going to fix the planet, we're going to save the planet. I don't know what they're going to save it for, but the long and short of that is no, you will not save anything. You will suffer the consequences if that is your idea. You really suffer the consequences. I think everybody's going to suffer the consequences of this world coming to an end because that's not the reason it's going to come to an end, is because of CO2. God's going to decide when it ends, and when people have broken his laws so much that they can't break them anymore, then he'll put an end to it. And it's coming. You can see it. I mean, you don't know when or how or what, but you can see the buildup of things that are happening. Secularism, destroying the family, destroying children, babies, drugs, people just doing things, like Isaiah said in the Bible, I don't know, thousands of years ago, there will come a time, he says, when good will be evil and evil will be good. We're living in those times right now. The thing is, I would imagine people have said for a long time, oh, the world is coming to an end, my, can't get any worse. And it gets worse. I believe that God will let it get so bad that it can't get any worse. That's when he'll put a stop to this world. And you have to remember that's happening in this, started right now in this last generation, really. Not all the generations before did not carry on and have these kind of beliefs and things. Feminism has caused a big lot of problem in this world. And the consequences of that are going to come home to roost. You know, the thing is, the way God has his plan for the families of this earth have been, destroyed, or practically destroyed, just about. And the young males growing up now are basically effeminate. They're not real males anymore. They don't assert a place in a family. They don't really have a family. Most of them don't want to get married anyway. They don't. And the reasons why is because the laws now has made it, dangerous and hard for a person to get married, because he can bust his butt and work till he's 45 years old or something, and his wife can listen to some women or some woman or something and say, well, you should be free on your own. You shouldn't have to be home with your husband and do this and do that. He's got no right to tell you what to do, blah, 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 blah. And then he can, there isn't hardly a divorce court in the land that won't give the woman everything she wants, practically. And the man is stuck with it again. And now it's getting so men really are not keen on getting married. They'll live together with someone for a little while, but the results are the same. I mean, they've made it so, married or not, you can lose everything you got on a whim. I mean, there's not always whims, but a lot of times, if people were to be honest about it, it is to basically get the money and get another partner or somebody tired of this one. Well, the world, progresses along those kind of lines. It's not good. Basically, when I said that this prophet Isaiah did write, most likely about 4,000 years or so ago, where he wrote that the time will come when evil will be good and good will be evil. And it is so plain to me that is actually where we're living right now. That's not a good thing. Mind you, it's pretty hard to come to grips that you're living in a time when the world maybe is coming to an end. Most people don't want to acknowledge that. God says you will know when it's coming to an end because it'll start one thing over here, another thing over there, or over here, earthquakes over there, floods over here, fires over there. The thing that always amazes me is human nature thinks they can control things. They got big armies, they got guns, they got nuclear weapons, and they got tanks and aircraft carriers and fancy airplanes and whatever. And God doesn't have any of that. He doesn't need that. That's playthings to him. When God decides to do something, he usually uses the elements, either the weather or earthquakes or storms of some kind, insects, all kinds of things. We're very vulnerable. Human beings are very vulnerable. We can have a little bug you can't even see, and it can put all of us down in no time, in a matter of a few days. We don't even see it because we're so complex made that the right sort of thing in there, monkey wrench in there, just knocks it out. That's the one weakness it has. And God controls that, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, the big fight is not going to be so much between people who are religious or whatever, but it'll be kind of between that and secular people who believe that they're capable of making their own laws and they know what's right and they know what's wrong. And they will make you live according to the way it's going to be, is you live the way we want. And it's starting to manifest right now. If you don't like the way they're doing something, you get nailed. You'll get ostracized. You'll do whatever. And then after a while, it'll get tougher because they won't allow you to say things like that. And if you disagree. So it's going to get to the point where police state, it's just about there anyway. You know, they don't want you to say anything. And when I say they, that's basically it seems to me that is some kind of elite that gets these different kind of things going and what they're doing now, and it's amazing to me that they can be so wrong. But they can be so horrendously wrong, and yet they have the power to keep pushing it through if they want to. They say there's too many people, we should get rid of people. Their idea is to have an ideal planet. Well, they don't own the planet, it's not their planet. They can't do that. They can try to do it, they can say they're going to do it, they can force you to help do it, but they won't be able to do it. They can destroy the whole planet trying to do it, which they most likely will do, because they're getting close to doing that now. We have lots of resources and stuff, and we don't have to be short of all this stuff, which we're going to get to be more and more of, because there won't be a supply chain that works. It's going to be shut down one way or the other. People don't want to work anyway. A lot of them don't want to work. The government is willing to pay them not to work with borrowed money that they don't have. That's some deal. Yeah, oh man, oh man, oh man. This business of deciding what's right and wrong, that everyone should have their own idea of what's right and wrong, does not work. That's where we're at now with the media and the internet, which is connectiveness. Like everyone can get connected to it. Everyone can know what's going on in the world instantly, practically. And there's going to be those who are going to rebel against the others who say that they're right, and no one will agree that on a set of rules. I can really see now why God said, don't eat of the tree of good and evil, tree of knowledge. Yes, the tree of knowledge. And then that's knowing good and evil. And then if people knew good and evil and it was set and fixed, that's one thing. But when one guy says, this is the way to do it, and the other one says, oh no, it's this way. You can't do that. We want it this way. No wonder things go. I mean, human beings, mankind tries to make laws, which is a laughable deal. I mean, they can't make laws anymore. They used to say fly to the moon, but they can do that. But anyway, making laws doesn't work because they can never decide on whose law they should go by. My law or my neighbor's law or the other guy's law or whose law. You know, and it's absolutely a fact that human nature does not have the ability to do that. And God is the only one with the power to make a law. And he's made a law and given it to people because the law works. If you keep the law, things go well. If you don't keep the law, things will go wrong. And he's got a law like that. That law was for human nature. And the law is permanent. It's not going to change. And God says, anybody who breaks my law, you know, the penalty, there's a penalty for breaking this law. And the penalty is death. The one who breaks the law will die. Except he decided before the world was created that Jesus Christ was going to be the lamb or a sacrifice to pay for the people who broke his law. That's you and I, people of this world. And by his death, that was sufficient to pay for, to balance his law out, which he could accept, because he's God. He's not a man. Now, isn't that something? God decided before the world began that he was going to make it so that human nature could have a way out of the effects of his law, which was necessary for the world to run. So much for that. Mind you, this stuff has all happened in this last generation, not until then. All the generations of the world up to that point did not act like they are now. And it's a tough thing to come to grips with. A lot of it you got to take on faith. You got to believe what God says and Jesus Christ says. In my case, that's the only ones I can trust. I don't trust my neighbor. I don't trust my son. I don't trust people that, you know, where I used to work, or I still do, but I can't believe any of them because they compromise and they don't know it. Satan in this world is an influencer. He is the influencer. He doesn't have power to force people to do things, but his influencing powers are so great, he gets them to do it anyway. And you know, for some reason, he seems to work on women more than men, I believe. I mean, I could be wrong on that, but if you look at it carefully, I think you'll have to agree. It seems like the jealousy and the vanity and the, you know, stuff like that comes out in women more than men. And it's hidden, and then it's vicious, and then it's, you know, and that's the, you know, kind of a hidden thing that is a destruction of everything. But thank goodness he's been judged, and it's just a matter of time now before he'll be dealt with. So I guess we're just here rolling along, and people just live, and I guess they, like they really have, they're here to make a choice, and many of them know it, and most of them don't. And that's the whole idea of their existence on this planet. Yes, I hope you realize that. Anyway, if you'd like to subscribe, it'll be fine. It lets you know when I do another one, when other things come up, and it would help me too. So thank you very much if you do. Anyway, bye for now. God bless you, and good night.